My beloved child, do not scroll away. Stay with me for these next few moments, because what you are about to hear is not meant for everyone. Some people will hear these words and move on unchanged, but others will recognize that something inside them has been waiting for this exact moment. If your heart suddenly became quiet, if something inside you whispered, "Don't leave yet," that is not an accident. That is the place where I am meeting you. For a long time, you believed you were simply waiting for the answer, waiting for the opportunity, waiting for healing, waiting for restoration, waiting for the day everything finally begins to make sense. But today I want to reveal something that will change the way you see your entire journey. You were never trapped in a waiting room. You were standing in a preparation room. There is a difference. A waiting room feels forgotten. A preparation room is filled with purpose. The world only saw delay. Heaven saw construction. You looked at closed doors. I was strengthening the one who would eventually walk through them. You counted the months. I was measuring your growth. You feared that time was slipping away. I was making sure that when your moment arrived, nothing would be able to steal it. Listen carefully. Many people receive blessings before they are ready to carry them. They celebrate too early, trust too easily, hold too tightly, and lose what they prayed for because their hearts were never prepared for its weight. But I have been protecting both you and the promise. I have not been keeping good things from you. I have been keeping you from receiving them too soon. There are blessings that become burdens when they arrive before wisdom. There are opportunities that become traps when character has not yet matured. There are answers that can destroy a person who has not yet learned to trust me more than the answer itself. That is why I allowed certain seasons to remain longer than you expected. Not because I ignored your prayers, but because I loved you enough to prepare you for what those prayers would require. My child, there were days when you questioned your own future. You smiled while wondering whether anything was changing. You prayed faithfully while everything around you looked exactly the same. You watched other people move ahead while your own road remained strangely quiet. Sometimes you wondered whether I had chosen everyone except you, but I never stopped working. Silence is not the absence of my hand. Often, it is the place where my deepest work begins. Seeds never announce themselves while growing underground. Yet that hidden season determines the strength of everything that eventually rises above the surface. In the same way, much of what I have been doing inside you could never be seen from the outside. While you worried about your circumstances, I was healing your reactions. While you focused on changing your surroundings, I was transforming your heart. While you kept asking me to change your destination, I was changing the traveler. Because destinations can only bless those who are prepared to live there. My beloved child, today I am not calling you to become impatient. I am calling you to become aware. Look back. Notice the person you were 1 year ago. Notice how differently you carry disappointment. Notice how differently you respond to fear. Notice how differently you recover from pain. You thought nothing was happening. Yet you have become someone your past self would barely recognize. That is my work. Quiet, patient, invisible, powerful. Now hear me carefully. The season you have called waiting is reaching its purpose, not because the calendar says so, but because your heart is becoming ready for what comes next. I am not asking you to force open the next door. I am asking you to stand where you are with confidence. Because when I decide the season has changed, no person can delay it, no enemy can cancel it, no mistake can erase it, and no fear can stop it. Today, I am calling you out of the waiting room, not because everything around you has already changed, but because you have changed. And once the person changes, the path begins to change with them. So remain with me until the end, because what I reveal next may completely transform the way you see every unanswered prayer you have ever prayed. My beloved child, there is something I want you to understand before you take another step. Many people believe waiting is simply standing still until something changes. But that is not how my kingdom works. Waiting is not the room where I forget you. Waiting is the place where I quietly change the person who will one day carry the answer. If I had given you yesterday what I have prepared for today, the blessing itself might have become a burden. You would have carried the gift without possessing the strength to protect it. So I waited. Not because I enjoyed your tears, not because I wanted to test how long you could endure. I waited because love never gives too little, and it never gives too soon. It gives what is right at the moment. Wisdom says it can truly be received. My child, there is a difference between being delayed and being developed. Many have mistaken one for the other. You looked around and saw people running ahead while your own road seemed unusually quiet. You wondered if heaven had misplaced your name. But heaven has never misplaced anyone who belongs to me. Your story has never left my hands. Even now, while you wonder what is happening, I am arranging details you cannot yet see. Have you noticed how a tree grows? The strongest part of its life happens where no one is watching. Its roots stretch downward long before its branches reach upward. No one applauds the roots. No one celebrates what is happening beneath the soil. Yet everything visible depends on everything hidden. You have been growing roots. Faith has been reaching deeper. Patience has been becoming stronger. Compassion has been replacing pride. Humility has been quietly taking the place of self-reliance. These things cannot always be measured by human eyes, but heaven sees them, and heaven never ignores hidden growth. My beloved, you have been asking me to open the next chapter. But before I open another door, I must close an old identity. You cannot walk into tomorrow while constantly introducing yourself as the person yesterday wounded. You are not the sum of every disappointment. You are not defined by every rejection. You are not permanently marked by every betrayal. Those moments happen to you. They do not own you. I refuse to let pain become the author of your future. That is why I keep calling you forward. Not because the past never mattered, but because it no longer deserves the final word. Remember when Lazarus came out of the tomb? Life returned to him before the grave clothes were removed. Even after resurrection, someone still had to unwrap what death had left behind. There are grave clothes I am removing from your heart. Old fears, old accusations, old labels, old expectations, thoughts that have whispered, "You will always be this way." No, those voices were never mine. My voice does not imprison. My voice restores. My voice reminds you who you truly are. You have spent enough time rehearsing every failure. Now learn to remember my faithfulness with the same intensity. My child, there are blessings already moving toward you that require a different version of you. Not a different personality, a different perspective. Because what destroys many people is not abundance. It is carrying abundance with an unchanged heart. That is why I teach contentment before increase, peace before promotion, character before influence. If I gave influence without humility, influence would destroy you. If I gave abundance without wisdom, abundance would master you. So while you thought I was delaying the promise, I was protecting the promise, and I was protecting you. Do not despise slow seasons. Rivers that last are not created by sudden storms alone. They are sustained by hidden springs. I want your joy to become like that. Not dependent on circumstances, not disappearing whenever life becomes difficult, but flowing because your confidence rests in me. My child, stop measuring your future by today's evidence. The farmer does not dig up seeds every morning to check whether they are growing. He waters, he trusts, he waits. Then one ordinary morning, the ground suddenly looks different. People call it sudden. The farmer knows it has been growing all along. Many things in your life will appear that way. Others will call them overnight miracles. You will know they were built through countless unseen moments of faith. Every prayer, every surrendered disappointment, every decision to forgive, every act of obedience, every quiet moment when you chose hope instead of despair. Nothing has been wasted. Not one tear, not one prayer, not one lonely night. I gathered every one of them, and I know exactly where each one belongs in the story I am writing. So stop standing at yesterday's door. Stop asking permission from your fears before following me. Stop believing that because one season ended painfully, every future season must do the same. You are leaving the waiting room, not because life will suddenly become effortless, but because you have become ready to walk differently. The waiting room taught you dependence. Now dependence will become confidence. Not confidence in yourself, but confidence in the one who has carried you every step of the journey. Walk forward now, not as someone abandoned, not as someone forgot, not as someone barely surviving. Walk forward as my beloved child, because I have already gone ahead of you, and every place where my presence waits for you will become the place where your waiting finally gives birth to fulfillment. My beloved child, there is one more truth I want you to carry deep within your heart. Never assume that because your eyes cannot see movement, nothing is happening. The greatest works I accomplish often begin in places human eyes cannot reach. Long before the sunrise appears, the horizon has already begun to change. Long before spring is visible, life is quietly awakening beneath frozen ground. And long before you witness the answer, I have already spoken to things you know nothing about. You have prayed for open doors. But while you were praying, I was preparing people. I was arranging conversations. I was shifting circumstances. I was softening hearts that once resisted you. I was closing paths that looked attractive but would have slowly stolen your peace. You asked me to change your situation. Sometimes I answered by changing you first, because once your heart changed, the situation could no longer control you. My beloved, you spend much time wondering whether I still remember my promises. Listen carefully. I never make a promise that time can erase. People forget. Circumstances change. Human plans collapse. But my word never grows old. What I spoke over your life still carries the same authority today as the moment I declared it. Time has not weakened my intention. Delay has not canceled my purpose. Silence has not erased my voice. I am still watching over every word I have spoken concerning you. Do not confuse silence with absence. Many of my greatest miracles grew quietly before they became visible. Joseph spent years forgotten inside a prison before one ordinary morning became the doorway to a palace. David was anointed long before he wore the crown. The promise arrived first. The platform arrived later. So if you are living between the promise and its fulfillment, know that you are standing on holy ground. This season has purpose. My child, you often ask me for a breakthrough, but breakthroughs rarely begin around you. They begin within you. Before walls fall outside, fear must fall inside. Before chains break around your life, hopelessness must lose its grip on your heart. Freedom always begins where faith chooses to believe me above every visible circumstance. That is why I keep speaking to your spirit, because once your heart becomes established in truth, no storm can permanently shake you. The wind may blow, the rain may fall, questions may still come, but your foundation remains secure, not because life became easier, but because you finally learned where your confidence belongs. My beloved, stop carrying tomorrow's burdens before tomorrow arrives. Many of the battles exhausting you exist only inside your imagination. You have spent hours fearing conversations that never happened. You have carried disappointments that never arrived. You have prepared yourself for disasters that never came. Meanwhile, I have continued giving you enough strength for today. Why carry tomorrow when I have already promised daily grace? Walk with me one step at a time. Trust me one decision at a time. Love one person at a time. Forgive one wound at a time. Faith grows through daily surrender, not frantic striving. My child, I know there are moments when you secretly wonder whether you missed your opportunity. You think, if only I had chosen differently. If only I had started earlier. If only I had been stronger. Listen to me. I am greater than every missed opportunity. Nothing surprises me. Even your mistakes have never been larger than my ability to redeem. I have walked into broken stories before. I have restored wasted years. I have created beauty from ashes. I have brought rivers into deserts. Why would your story be beyond my reach? You are not trapped because yesterday was imperfect. My mercy continues writing where regret wanted the story to end. So release the weight of what cannot be changed. Receive the grace of what can still become. My beloved child, the future I have prepared for you is not built upon fear. It is built upon trust. Not trust that everything will always make sense, but trust that I remain faithful even when understanding arrives later. One day you will look behind you. You will remember the nights when you thought everything was falling apart. You will remember the seasons when you questioned my timing. And you will discover that every unexpected delay became protection. Every closed door redirected you. Every painful ending prepared space for something greater. What once looked like interruption will reveal itself as divine direction. So lift your eyes. Do not stare so long at what has ended that you fail to recognize what is beginning. I am not leading you backward. I am leading you into a future your fears have never been able to imagine. The waiting room is behind you. The doorway is already opening. Take my hand. Walk with courage. Walk with quiet confidence. Walk knowing that I never call my children into uncertainty without already preparing the road beneath their feet. The next chapter is no longer approaching. It has already begun. Stay close to me, and you will discover that everything you thought was delayed was simply being prepared with perfect love, perfect wisdom, and perfect timing. My beloved child, before this message comes to its close, there is one final truth I want to plant deeply within your heart. Do not leave this moment unchanged. Do not return to the same fears that followed you before you heard my voice. Something sacred has happened between us today. Not because these words are extraordinary, but because my spirit has been quietly speaking where human words cannot reach. I have been knocking gently upon the hidden doors of your heart, not demanding entrance, not forcing my way in, simply waiting for your answer. Today, that answer can change everything. My child, you have spent enough time believing that your future depends only on what you can accomplish. Lay down that burden. You were never created to carry tomorrow by yourself. You were created to walk with me. There is a difference. One path produces exhaustion. The other produces peace. One depends on endless striving. The other depends on daily surrender. Choose the second path. You do not have to know every answer. You only need to know the one who holds every answer. You do not have to control every outcome. You only need to trust the one who already stands at the end of the journey. I have gone before you. I have remained beside you. And I will still be with you long after today's worries have disappeared. So stop calling yourself forgotten. Heaven has never misplaced your name. Stop believing you have been left behind. My timing has never failed. Stop speaking defeat over the life I am still writing. The story is not finished. The chapter that caused you pain is not the final chapter. Hope still has another page to write. My grace still has another miracle to reveal. My faithfulness still has another testimony to create. Lift your eyes. The waiting room is no longer your identity. Expectation is. Peace is. Purpose is. Hope is. Walk into tomorrow differently. Speak differently. Pray differently. Believe differently. Because you are no longer waiting for me to notice you. You are walking with the God who has never taken his eyes off you. And one day, sooner than you imagine, you will look back at this season and say, "Now I understand." What I once called delay was actually preparation. What I once called silence was God building something stronger than I could see. What I once feared had ended was actually where my new beginning quietly started. So take my hand once more. Leave fear behind. Leave discouragement behind. Leave comparison behind. Walk forward with the quiet confidence of someone who knows their Father is leading every step. I am opening doors no person can shut. I am restoring strength you thought was permanently lost. I am preparing blessings that will not become a burden because they arrive in my perfect time. Remain close to me. That is where peace lives. That is where wisdom grows. That is where your true future begins. And remember this, whenever doubt tries to return, you were never forgotten. You are being prepared. And what I have prepared for you will arrive exactly when love, wisdom, and purpose meet together. Before you leave, I want you to pause for just a moment. If this message spoke to your heart, don't rush away. Close your eyes for a few seconds and simply whisper, "Father, I trust your timing." If those words are sincere, heaven hears them. And I believe today marks the beginning of a new season of peace in your life. If this message encouraged you, write, "I trust your timing, Lord," in the comments. It isn't just a comment. It is your personal declaration of faith before God and an encouragement to someone else who may be struggling with the same waiting season. If you know someone whose heart has grown weary from waiting, share this message with them. One act of kindness can become the answer to someone else's prayer. And if you want to continue receiving faith-filled messages that strengthen your spirit, deepen your relationship with God, and remind you of His unfailing promises, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss the next message. Until we meet again, remember this: God is never late. He is never absent. He is never confused about your future. He is already working in places your eyes cannot see. Walk in faith. Rest in His promises. And let His peace guard your heart until every promise unfolds in His perfect time. God bless you, and may His presence go with you wherever you are.